Okay, I want to introduce this concept of waves because we haven't used that like vocabulary yet to talk about women's history, and it's something that we see in women's history. So this lecture module is talking about the second wave, and the first wave would be from 1848 when women say for the first time that they want the right to vote, and then it would end in 1920 when we get the 19th Amendment. Second wave. This one could start a couple of different places. We could start the second wave in 1960 with the pill. We could start the second wave in 1963 if we wanted to with Feminine Mystique. Or we could start the second wave in 1966 with Now. This is another thing to think about with waves, is it limits us with kind of the terminology and the themes themselves. That first wave is centered solely on the vote, but second, third, fourth, maybe fifth waves aren't so centralized and aren't so connected to maybe just one idea. So the second wave, again, we could start it in the 60s. We'll end it in 82, and we'll talk about why that is in the next lecture module. And then third wave is going to start in the 90s. There's also some suggestion that maybe a fourth wave started in the 2000s. Others say, no, fourth wave is actually where we are now. And so again, that's another sort of point about waves, is that it's not perfect in its connection to how we divide and think about history. The other thing about thinking about women's history in terms of waves, I actually have an article for you that I put in the next lecture module because it also addresses third and fourth waves that talks about some of these things too. But another thing to think about with waves is if we think about women's history like this, we're really limiting it because, right? I mean, we seem to be suggesting that nothing happens in women's history until 1848 when they say they want the right to vote. And, that was, our weeks are kind of all messed up this semester, but like easily that's usually like week 7 or like halfway through the semester when we finally get to Seneca Falls. So like we were doing a whole bunch of stuff before 1848. And then it's not like things just stop in 1920 when we get the right to vote, right? We talked about things we were doing in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. So it limits also how we think about women's history, but it's also helpful because those are like waves in women's history where we see more activism. So again, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there for you because it's terminology that we haven't really used before. Thinking about history and these breaks. First wave, again, 1848 to 1920. Second wave, sometime in the 60s to 1982, and then talking about the third wave in the 90s. Again, you'll have an article that looks over each of these a little bit more specifically in the next lecture module. If you've got any questions, you can put those in the discussion board. Take care.